back at it again. So she said, we're gonna do the 1 in 1 out policy this year. We're gonna adhere to our book buying good habits. We did not. So I've been accumulating some books for a while now. And so I figured it was time that I tell you about said books that I have acquired recently. If you're new, hello, my name is Michaela, this is Meekela Reads, and I make videos about books. Usually. We have a lot of fun. I have some pets, they're pretty cute, and if you are not subscribed, please consider doing that. That would be amazing. But I have a lot of books here. As you can tell, there is 16 books at this point in time. There is going to be more soon. Watch this space. But I figured I would do this to just clear my slate, to make it feel as though it's not too much all in one go. So without further ado, let's begin. First, we have Saga by Brian Vaughan and Fiona Staples. This is a very adult graphic novel set amidst a galactic war. We follow our two kind of main characters as they are trying to bring a family into said galactic war. The couple in question are actually from opposing sides of the galactic war, and they are, from what I know, being hunted and are thrown into the middle of all of this chaos. I have read the first couple of pages of this and it is graphic. But Jared's brother actually gave this one to me recently because he wasn't going to read it and I want to read more graphic novels, so that was very kind of him. I thank him very, very much. And I'm actually really excited to jump into this because if you haven't seen my goals for 2022, I wanted to read more graphic novels, which is a theme in this video. Hold on to that thought. Another graphic novel that I have picked up, the Twilight saga graphic novel. I never actually picked these up when I was obsessed with Twilight, but I saw it at a secondhand bookstore the other day. I had to pick it up because the artwork in it actually isn't like that bad. It's got some cute pops of color in there occasionally. If you didn't know, I am currently rereading the Twilight series for the first time in 15 years, so I figured that this was appropriate to fit into that theme. Y'all know the plot of Twilight, I assume, but it is, you know, a human girl falls in love with a vampire boy, all of the complicated things that come along with that. It is what it is. Moving on. We have Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin. This is actually the first 4 books in the 6-book series, and this is a high fantasy novel, and I purchased this because it was recommended for people who liked The Name of the Wind. Recently reread The Name of the Wind with Jared, and both of us are interested in this, so I picked it up. So this is set in the world of Earthsea, and we follow our main protagonist, Ged, who is joining a magical wizardry school to explore his wizardry powers. This is a high fantasy coming of age story following this young boy as he sort of learns to deal with the world. Given his prickly disposition, which tends to get him in trouble sometimes, this tells his story going through that. I have a feeling that it's reminiscent of The Name of the Wind. I have a feeling that Patrick Rothfuss, or I heard somewhere that Patrick Rothfuss drew inspiration from this, so I'm very excited. I've heard some good things about it, but I haven't heard too much about it on YouTube. I was hesitant, but we did it anyway. I will not be reading it all in one go. That's ridiculous. This is it's only 890 pages for 4 books. I probably could do this all in one go. I'm not going to, but I could. Next, we have yet another graphic novel. It is Bloom by Kevin Panetta and Savannah Ganichow. So again, a graphic novel. Bloom is beautiful. It has beautiful illustrations, and it is a gay coming of age new adult story. So we follow Ari. He has just finished high school and he is wanting to move on to make his big break in the world. However, he is stuck in his small town with the family bakery that is going under. The story starts as the family are trying to hire a new worker, and this is where Ari meets Hector and our story kind of unfolds from there. I hear that this is super adorable, super cute, and as I said, it will fulfill my graphic novel goal for the year a little bit more. I'm just gonna get all of the graphic novels out of the way because next we have Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe. So Lore Olympus is the BookTok favorite webtoon success phenomenon. I don't actually know. I haven't used the webtoon. I'm old. I do not know what the webtoon is, but it's now in a book, so I'm gonna read it. This is a Greek god retelling following Persephone and Hades. I know nothing else about it aside from that, but that was enough to sort of draw me in, particularly because, again, The artwork is really colorful and vibrant, and I'm in the mood for the graphic novel. They just hit different. They're so much easier to read. They're usually way more engrossing because you have all of the pictures there to help you. And this is super, super hyped. It's everywhere. Everyone loves it. Next we have The Mad Ship, which is the second Live Ship Traders book. But Michaela, do you own the first one or any of the other Robin Hobb series? No. I have learned something in my days is that when you are shopping at secondhand bookstores and you see something that you are vaguely interested in or that you like or that you think you'll need in the future, you buy it that day, because otherwise it's gone. So I've purchased this because I will eventually read Robin Hobb's work. I will eventually get to the Live Ship Traders, but I wanted these covers and I wanted them to be small so they match the other Robin Hobb books that I do actually have on my shelf. So I bought the second one without having read any of the other trilogies that are required to read the Live Ship Traders. But I do know that the Live Ship Traders trilogy does follow within the Robin Hobb world of everything. Sentient ships. Need I say more? The sentient ships are made of this magical wood. I think it's called wizard wood, and they are the only ships that can traverse this one specific perilous river that is required to trade with the people on the other side. We learn about how they're sailed, how they work, and I assume all of the relationships and friendships that occur within this ship sentient world. It's been a goal of mine to read Robin Hobb for quite some time. I still have not yet got there, but I will. I promise I will. One day. Next, I purchased Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Sugimura. I bought this for reasons. Lonely Castle in the Mirror is a whimsical, I think it's middle grade, story following a group of children who come across a portal to a magical castle in which they are tasked to find a key, and the person who finds the key gets a wish. However, if the kids are not back at their homes or out of the castle by 5 p.m, they will be eaten by the Wolf Queen. I've had nothing but fantastic reviews. Everyone loves this, and I hear it's quite reminiscent of Studio Ghibli, reminiscent of the House in the Cerulean Sea, reminiscent of the cute, cozy family vibes. And that's what I'm here for. So I picked up Lonely Castle in the Mirror. I am like super, super, super excited to jump into this one because we need some new favorites. My favorites are old. I don't think I've added many new favorites to my favorites. So I'm just hoping that I find some within the books that I've purchased here today. But moving on from one hyped book to the next, I picked up The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. Again, another TikTok sensation. It was originally self-published and then was eventually actually picked up by a publisher and is now distributed to all of the booksellers. I purchased this at Big W, which is how you know it's made it big in the world. The Atlas 6 is a mystery-filled dark academia fantasy set in an academic secret society that is magical, where if selected, the 5 that are picked get to have a lot of power, they are become incredibly wealthy, just this real prosperous life. But to be selected, they have to spend a year together first, and only 5 of the 6 are picked in the end. Again, it's hyped, need I say more? TikTok told me to buy it, so I did because I've loved the other TikTok favorites. So I'm hoping that I also really love the Atlas 6. I've been trying to get my hands on this for almost a year now. I'm glad that it's finally within my grasp. I will be reading it in the near future. But on the very other end of the spectrum, we have A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. This is the story that follows our main character. He is a cranky, grumpy old man who lives in a neighborhood where he kind of just stares and yells at everyone if they get on his lawn. However, his world starts to change when he has new neighbors move in next door. They break his mailbox, and a flurry of shenanigans, unexpected friendships, all of that jazz unfolds from there. I love a reformed, cranky old person book, and I bought this because I just feel the need to feel feelings and cry at a book. Haven't had it in a while. I've been seeking it, and I'm hoping that this does it for me. I'm hoping that this feels that need to process the emotions by crying. Y'all know this one already, but it's House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J Maas. I have an entire reading vlog dedicated to this book. If you have not watched it, please go do that. That's where all of my thoughts are. I have already read this, but this is the second book in the Crescent City series, the first one being House of Earth and Blood, this one being the House of Sky and Breath, and it continues on the story of Bryce Quinlan, who is a half fae, half human in this urban fantasy world that is created by Sarah J Maas. Need I say more? Need I say more? As I said, entire reading vlog, go check it out, but I really liked it. I have already read it. Next is I Give My Marriage a Year by Holly Wainwright. This is an adult contemporary book that I have seen everywhere. That does not mean it's good. I actually think that this might be quite problematic in my opinion, but it was $1. The cover intrigued me. I do love a good rainbow and this minimalistic thing. It drew me in. I bought this book because of the cover. And then I read the synopsis and now I'm not as excited about it. So I Give My Marriage a Year follows our main character Lou. And Lou and her husband Josh have been together for 14 years, but Lou is really starting to just contemplate this marriage that she's in. And so she sets her relationship a task every month to really evaluate whether or not it's worth fighting for. That in itself sounds problematic to me, but is that going to stop me from reading this book? Probably not. We love a sad middle-aged woman and I'm intrigued to see how the end of this book turns out because this stuff doesn't work in real life. I really should have done all of the TikTok favorites all in one. But we have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Again, another BookTok favorite. It's been everywhere. It's all over, like the TikTok recommended in every bookstore that I've ever been to. This book follows Achilles and Patroclus? I don't know how to say his name yet, but follows Achilles and Patroclus. They are thrown into this situation where they meet and then they are trained by Chiron and then they have to go and save Helen of Troy, is my understanding of this book. It is also a queer romance as far as I know, so I am excited to jump into this one. Everyone loves it. Everyone says it's fantastic. Not many people have liked her other book that I know of, but everyone has liked The Song of Achilles. So I bought it. Next, I bought Room by Emma Donoghue. Room is an adult fiction that tells the story of a mother and her son who have been kidnapped. Now, I'm actually not sure if the son is the kidnapper's child or if it is just the mother's child that has been kidnapped, but it's a mother and a son. They've been kidnapped and they live forever in a room. However, the twist on this is that the book narrator is actually the 6-year-old son. His name is Jack. Jack has only ever known this room. This room is his world. I'm equal parts excited and terrified to jump into this. I'm really intrigued to see how these really heavy and disturbing topics are portrayed through a 6-year-old's voice. I feel like that's going to be an incredible take on kidnappings and psychological disturbances. Room. I bought this for reasons. I have unintentionally purchased 2 Patrick Ness books. We have Burn and we have The Knife of Never Letting Go, which is the first in the Chaos Walking series. I will start with this one because it's in my hand. This was turned into a movie with Tom Holland in it. It was called The Chaos Walking. But The Knife of Never Letting Go follows our main protagonist, Todd Hewitt. He lives in this dystopian world where a virus that they call the germ has infected everyone, wiped out all the women, and there's only men left in the village or the town, and Todd can actually read all of the men's thoughts. As far as I know, he can also read animals' thoughts, or at least his dog's. Our story unfolds when Todd actually runs into a female, which is very confusing because all of the females were wiped out by the germ. And what makes it even more interesting is that Todd cannot read her thoughts like he can everyone else's. We follow in this story Todd as he kind of uncovers the town's mysteries and all of the lies that people have been telling him his whole life. I just love Patrick Ness's writing, as you can tell by the fact that I have most of his books in my possession. He has a very interesting way of portraying like dystopian alternate realities that make it feel equal parts believable and not believable at the same time. So that's The Knife of Never Letting Go. I also, as I said, have Burn by Patrick Ness. So Burn is set in 1957 and it follows our main character Sarah Dewhurst and their dragon who her dad hires to help out with the farm. I read the synopsis for this book and I'm still incredibly confused because apparently there's mystery, there is FBI agents, there is prophecy, there's a cult. How does he pack that into a 370-page book? I don't know. And the fact that a character is a dragon. I'm here for it. I love Patrick Ness's bizarre ideas, so we are jumping into this at some point in the near future as well. Now my last book I'm like actually a bit conflicted about now. Hear me out. The last book I picked up was Shantaram by Gregory David Roberts. Now this is a fiction that follows our main character who is in Bombay, India. They basically go through this story of being imprisoned, being involved in mafias, a hospital where he helps out. I say that this is a fiction because I have read the story of the author and it's alarmingly similar. So a note on our author, Gregory David Roberts, is an Australian man. He lived in Melbourne. He was imprisoned because of a bank robbery, from which he fled to Bombay, India, where he was then involved in a hospital and mafias and all of the other things that I read in the synopsis. I don't know how I feel about this guy. I really don't. I feel like this is going to be conflicting. Also, it's gigantic. I had an ex-housemate that really liked this book, so that's why I purchased it. I trust her reading judgments, but I'm just not sure about our author, guys. I'm really not. So we'll see how this turns out if I ever get to it. I will say, everything else that I've spoken about today is higher in my priority list than this book, but I'm still intrigued. I think it'll be an interesting ride. It sounds chaotic, and knowing that it's relatively based in fact, we will see how we go. And also, it's another one of those ones that was $1 at the secondhand bookstore. So if I don't like it, there's not a whole lot that we've lost here. I'm not going to hold up all the books because there are far too many to do that, but that's all the books that I've bought recently. Let me know if any of these are also on your TBR, if you've read them, what you've thought about them, particularly if you've read Shantaram. Please tell me what you thought about it, because I don't know. But there are some exciting videos that I have planned for some of these books. We're also not going to mention the like 4 sets of Twilight books that I ended up buying for my Twilight rereading videos. I think I ended up with 3 copies of Eclipse, 2 copies of Breaking Dawn, and 2 copies of Twilight in the end, because people wouldn't sell them to me individually and I couldn't find them in secondhand bookstores. I will do something with those at some point in the near future. But that is all I have for my book haul today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye! I'm tired. I don't think it's even gonna fit in the frame. We'll make a pile. I do like piles.